go through architecture to understand the natural, which I feel is more sustainable.
I hope that the book can offer anyone the possibility of approaching Taiwan, a place unknown to the most, but I think rich in culture and environmental resources. When arriving in Venice, the day before the beginning of the Biennale, it was Mr. Huang himself who showed me every single project part of the exhibition, with passion and willingness that are very difficult to find in an international artist like him.
We welcome everyone to the ListLab Publisher podcast, which broadcasts stories from publications about architecture and research, told by those who make them and take part in them. Stories of women and men who promote new ways of thinking about space and the society we live in. I'm Claudio Curciotti, and we have heard the voice of some of the guests of the first episode of this podcast. People who took part in creating a book on Taiwan and about Sheng-Yuan Huang, an exceptional Taiwanese architect.
I recall I met him maybe about 20 years ago.
Monica Kuo, director of the Landscape Architecture Department of the Chinese Culture University in Taipei.
At that time, I'm the kind of coordinator for the government, advising for government to pursue we call the land town country redevelopment. And at that time, huangsheng-yuen, he actually take a lead for many projects consistently for more than 20 years. So I more or less follow his step to know his contribution and his dedication to do the town-scale reform for Ilan.
Sheng-Yuan Huang was born and raised in Taipei, studied at Donghai University in Taichung, obtained a master's degree from Yale University, and moved to America, where he will later teach and work as an architect. After that, he returned to Taiwan. In the early 90s, he settled in Ilan, following the invitation of a dear friend, now Secretary of the Taiwanese Ministry of Culture. He took time to observe, meet and get to know the place, after which he established Fieldoffice, his studio. Since then, he continued to promote and produce architecture focused on quality of life and landscape care. An architecture where the surrounding environment is as important as the architecture itself. For many, Mr. Huang is a friend, a person who delivers an intense humaneness.
I met huangsheng-yuen first time in 1993.
Chunusiung-wang is the director of the architecture department of Xinjiang University in Taipei. He is a great admirer and friend of Mr. Huang.
And before that, we know each other maybe for about 5 years or 6 years. But we don't have the chance to meet each other in Taiwan or in the United States. Finally, we got a chance to meet each other, and we are so happy to know. so I think it seems that you really know somebody, but you never met him. So when you met him, he is just like your family.
Friendship affects both the private and professional spheres. In Mr. Huang's philosophy, life and work intersect. In Ilan, he is known as an architect and professor, but above all for his humaneness. Once, he consulted all the residents of a neighborhood door to door for one of his projects. Government officials regularly visit his studio to check the models and, by doing so, immerse themselves in the familiar atmosphere of the place. But finally, let's listen to the word of Mr. Huang. In an interview recorded by Alessandro and the independent curator Yani Li, right inside the field office.
Imagine this interview like your letter to the young Taiwanese.
Yeah.
You can imagine like this.
I think it's like people, especially for the young people, what I can contribute is I think it's my sincere behavior based on the very deeply believe about everybody have a chance to contribute to any situation, like to ecologically, to the agriculture, to everything what we can contribute is not the skill. It's basically kind of to support the people have the freedom to choose to dedicate their life to do these things. So it means like everybody could be different. So that's my fundamental belief, and which I believe possibly influenced my students. I taught in the school more than 25 years from United States to few different universities until now. So even now I choose 2 or 3 individual students. I of course support like a workshop, like some 助教艺术家, university artists, something like that, in different level, in different alternative program. But I still feel to be individually, to making friend is possibly is the most interesting and important way to, how to say that. So the young generation more and more, because they have many choices, so sometimes they didn't really experience intimate experience. It means like all of the relationship is relatively I think it's a fake public. The real public means like to respect the very personal choice to a limited level, which means public. That's my definition. And but not many students believe it. For example, like the students don't believe the professor could be your best friend in life.
Alessandro immerses himself in this friendly universe, experiences the atmosphere of the place, knows the people, and understands how friendship is an aspect of Mr. Wang's personality and, at the same time, the very essence of his architecture.
Well, this for me is one of the strongest things that I found in your work, and I found also in Taiwan people, because also Taiwan people are open to be together inspired somehow. For some moment everyone becomes friends, and because of this the society becomes stronger. That is really special. But I never thought before that architecture may have this power. I never think about this. I know the city must be built. I know that there should be something which is like a representative form, but I never thought that if people can be, surprised for something, then they become friends. Or they feel the life more easy. That was like a really strong... that's also what I think is your elan, in my experience.
In many frustration about it, to make friends with people, but I still need to keep on doing this. It means like we need to accept everybody are different. So any individual, they have the right to do their lives. That's what you already explained, the atmosphere in the office. That's everybody try to make our the daily life better. If we could make our daily life better, it means like we make new evidence for other people, to encourage other people to believe. But because we're beginning from a very strong, something, not be friend. So I think there's always have the possibilities. You really find out now after we go through this, we eventually find a little bit freedom.
At the end of the Second World War, Taiwan was born in a relationship of geopolitical tension with the People's Republic of China, which is why martial law was in force on the island until 1987. For Mr. Wang, friendship is key to demonstrate the abandonment of martial law.
It's like see my daughter's life, and I really feel it's much better. The color is the the society is much more colorful, and my life and it's a kind of every day is better. So it's my feeling, and I even don't want to go back anymore. It's like no, although I'm getting old and I'm facing the time when I need to disappear, but even that way I feel so positive.
His positive attitude is engaging and a source of inspiration for students and young architects.
This is really not the way I'm thinking, because I'm not really intended to encourage people. Most of the time they are encouraging me. So it means like what I can do is only to be equal, to be fair.
He inspired me actually since I was a student.
Anru Chen, my colleague and friend from Bias Architects, has a clear idea of how Mr. Wang can inspire Taiwanese architects.
He ever been a jury of one of our summer school? I think that's the first time I saw the architect is himself and his project, and then also he come to be our jury. Then because that summer school was going to build some local building, local shelters for those people in Yilan. I was so astonished that because we collect some local material there, try to build up some of our concept. He was there. He take away his shoes and socks and step on those material we bring. Some are those straw with water and soil, and he just put his foot inside those things, which made me surprised that, because on the other day the architect in my mind should be like someone direct people, but instead he is like our big brother or like our uncle, just so close to our normal life. And then he really can tell where this material come from. This also make me surprised, because we gather those material from the field around the village, and then he really know where has those field, where has those material, where we gather those things. So this changed my mind of what architect should be. And I think his life is like his architecture is close to our life, close to the normal daily life you are doing or you live in, then just transform into an architecture or the urban environment what he made for the Yilan people.
Located at the edge of Yilan, in Fieldoffice people live and work together. There is an hostel inside the office for those who choose a full-in option. Others live in apartments nearby. The atmosphere is homely.
The office, the field office, possibly the magic is I very clearly present. I want to share with them together in that moment, every day in a very special way. You can choose. For example, go with me to swim, go with me to the hot spring. We can talk, we can eat, we can fight on the model, we can challenge, we can, it's just any moment. I want to be very seriously, just enjoy about that moment in a very equal way for everybody. I think they generate all of what they believe in many layers. So it's much more than what I can imagine, because they don't tell me too much things. I think they think I don't understand, because I'm the kind of I don't have I intended don't use the social media, because I will try to let them feel free. Otherwise, the boss always, watching what you're thinking.
I guess it has to do with the experience I had back at the time of Tungai University. There, in the evening, we used to go to the professor's house to discuss our projects. Maybe there I started to have the idea that the home is an advanced version of the designer's workspace. This is an excerpt from the interview with Mr. Wang in the book The City Beyond Architecture, where we also read about collective travels and various activities aimed at maintaining the harmony at the studio. But is everything always okay?
Sometimes they hate each other. Trust me, they don't like each other too much. Not everybody. For example, like this guy didn't get well with this guy, but they could stand this guy exists because I'm there. So we always find a way to make people to be the best condition in their possibilities. And I understand that's my major job. It's like, I just need to let people trust that everybody has a good part. Before there's a lot of systems, they just wanted to change people. They want just, I hate that. I just want everybody to have a chance to be respected. So I sincerely want to do that. So I use all of the possibilities. And I think they understand. They respect each other. And that they, no matter, sometimes they just give the bad face. but deeply, I think they enjoy about we are living in a diverse society and we don't kill each other, but we even could do things and in a very magic way. Sometimes the special ability just help us go through the difficulties in a magic way I don't really imagine before.
His work is very much close to, the feeling we have in Taiwan. I mean, the way we feel about the sunshine, the wind, the water, and the plants, and the soil.
Go through architecture to understand the nature, which I feel is more sustainable. For example, like the sand dune project in the coast. So when we do the research about the sand dune, and it's not only do the research, that it's not just sightseeing or like a site research. It's more like we need to understand where is all of the materials come from. For example, in ancient architecture, of course they care about the cosmos, right? They care about this. It's in totally different scales. Yeah. For example, like what all of our projects. For example, when we recently, I really find out we never just only watch this project. It's suddenly it's not this project. It's all of the alive natural things turn back to be part of your project. This is the feeling is when we are children. We do that, right?
For me personally, Mr. Wang was as much a professional discovery as a source of inspiration. Due to training or predisposition, I must say it is a while I'm dealing with the contemporary urban condition and how the architect can play a role in its development. So, I also can say that unfortunately, today architecture is often powerless in the face of urban transformations. This is partly due to the lack of condition to develop a consistent design that is capable of withstanding the ups and downs of the public opinion. Without these conditions or a way to create them, I don't think that any architect can impact on contemporary society. Precisely because of this, to discover Mr. Wang and his successes on urban design was a surprise. It was also finally the chance for me and my research to look into reality and no more into just papers, book, or things that happened in the past. I think the case study offered by his work represents the possibility of critically evaluating a design experience that has changed the face of a city for real. To all intents and purposes, we can weigh the result, the possibility to reproduce these achievements, and above all, give ourselves an actual answer about the value that architecture can have today in the city. In this sense, I think Mr. Huang can offer an example from which everyone can learn something. In Europe too, especially today, given that we are so much overwhelmed by health, economic, social and disciplinary crises that without fresh air, new ideas, new approaches, I'm afraid that we will have no imagination or hope for a better future.
My idea or my understanding from my eyes, from my experience of the work of Mr. Huang and the reason why I think I like it.
When the book came to the end, I gave a presentation at the Sheng-Yuan University in Taipei, and I realized that the talk was a surprise to Mr. Huang. During the presentation, I essentially showcased how the book could explain field office work from a foreign point of view, but avoid the idea that Taiwan is an exotic place. So Mr. Huang's surprise, I could say, was that of both recognizing himself and seeing his work through an unusual perspective. I realized that this could be for sure alienating, but at the same time probably was able to bring some new internationality to his work.
From now as you move forward, where do you want to be in the next 10, 20 years? What's next for you?
Yeah. Well, it's I'm very much clearly know. I've always been asked about this. What's the future and I always say my hope. I deeply hope. I hope everybody have the right to fight for their own country, to fight for their own hometown. That's my deeply hope. But also, I think it's tomorrow will be totally different and a surprise. And I'm so much enjoy about that. Well, did I kind of answer?
Your answer is always unexpected. That's so don't worry about that. So it's okay.
We've tried to give you a taste of Mr. Huang's philosophy, and we will continue to keep up to date on his projects and visions for an architecture of friendship. In any case, I recommend you the book by Alessandro Martinelli, The City Beyond Architecture. For more information, please visit the website www.listlab.eu. I'm Claudio Curciotti. I thank everybody who took part in these 2 episodes: chunusiung-wang, Yen Fang, Monica Kuo, Maria Lesnina, Yani Li, Massimiliano Scaglione. A special thanks to Alessandro, who led us in this story, and of course to Mr. Huang.